All right, welcome back to another episode of the Harold Katz podcast. This is season 3, episode 5. Oren Glickman alongside Akiva Poppers and, of course, Coach. Pre-Passover edition of the Harold Katz podcast. A lot to dissect with Coach. Coach, how are you doing on this fine Monday morning or Monday evening, your time?
I'm doing great, my time. Thank God, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. So I believe our last episode, the Macs were dancing, and a lot's happened between now and then. The Macs are no longer dancing. In fact, nobody's dancing right now in the Division III level. Of course, we'll get Coach's national championship prediction later in this episode. But Coach, I'm not sure if you had the opportunity to watch the Tufts game after Shabbos ended in Israel. Did you have a chance to watch the recording? If so, what were your initial thoughts?
I did watch it. It was your basic, I said this before, we were dumb enough to win a conference and win some NCAA tournament games. We were dumb enough to lose the conference and lose those. You know what I mean? Like we were just. I'm not sure this group understands what sustained effort is. We say whatever we want. They're the defending champs in the conference, and they went on the road and won. And I think they learned a lesson about having to guard that, as Houston showed the other night. And actually, I thought Duke actually played pretty good defense. You got to guard, and you got to guard on every possession. And defense is not a one-time thing. It's an all-time thing. Defense is multiple actions in one possession. And sometimes guys will guard their man, and that's it. As a guy drives by him, well, coach, I got my guy. It's multiple actions. It's, stop penetration baseline from your own man. Go help stop penetration opposite. Take a charge, box out, rebound. It's multiple actions in one possession. We really didn't do a very good job of that. I don't think we played very well offensively. We didn't share the ball. Whatever got us, I thought we were running our offense really well. Then Zevi got hot, that last day we played in conference. And Zevi got hot, really makes a shot that most humans shouldn't take. And we ended up winning the game because we got to stop at the end. But we stopped doing that when we got to the NCAA tournament. We just showed maybe the first couple minutes we were pretty good, but then everybody was playing hero ball and, didn't no longer felt the need to share it. I mean, it showed in the way we played. It showed in the score at halftime. It showed in the score at the end of the game. It was essentially non-competitive after the first, I don't know. What would you say, 5-10 minutes? Would you give it 10 minutes?
Yeah,
I wouldn't give it.
It seemed to me, correct me if you disagree, it seemed to me like they kind of already went into the game with a losing mentality.
I don't know their mentality, so I'm not as confident as you are in that. But I think they took the floor every night like that. In other words, it's not fair to say, because all things considered, they had a great year because they ended up winning the championship in a year that's probably as frustrating a season as we've had since, Elliott's first year. But, everybody got to share the ball in every single game. It's not a one-time thing. It's an all-time thing, just like defense. You got to always share it. And we don't always share it. And so we paid the price for it. And it was a winnable game. I thought the scouting report was actually great. Everything we need to put in there was in there. Everything we said to be wary of, we were wary of, and ended up biting us on the ass. And at some point, players got to play. And I think they circled Zevi, and they said, well, we're going to let everybody else try to beat us tonight. But he's not. So if he has to take 25 shots to win the game, it's not good basketball. Look, he should take the most shots. most of the time. And the 25 is not even a problem if you go 15 for 25, 12 for 25. But you go 8 for 25, whatever it was. You know, you got to reevaluate the shots you're getting. We stopped screening. You know, we wouldn't hit anybody on screens. It was interesting because that happened to Duke. You know, in the last couple of minutes, they can't get the ball on bounds, and they're setting screens for each other, and no one is hitting them. They're all screening Casper, the ghost. Everybody screens ghosts. Even on the last possession, when Flag is supposed to screen and then open up after the screen, he never hits anybody on the screen. I think that's the story of this generation, is that they just don't hit anybody on screen. Screen is not a thing unless it's on the ball. You know, and the teams that are able to off-ball screen, like Nova Southeastern and upper-level teams that know what they're doing, those teams happen to win because most kids you play against don't know how to A, off-ball screen, and B, play against the off-ball screen. And I think that just showed its head. That being said, it ended up being a great year because we got to where we should have got. And that's it. That's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, so it seems like next season is the last season of the Ryan Terrell successor era in terms of Max Ackheim and Zevi Samet. Do you think I have that right? That next year is the last year of that successor era, and then after that, it's a whole new era?
I mean, yes and no, because these other kids grew up hearing and watching Ryan. The kids who are coming in now know who Ryan Terrell is. I think that the freshmen that year, when this next class graduates, the freshmen won't really know who Ryan is. They might know who Zevi is. They won't really know. I mean, they'll know Ryan, but they won't really know Ryan. So yeah, there's some truth to that. I don't think I mean, jury's still out on the successor to Ryan's year. You know, the byproduct of Ryan. But let's see how it goes next year. I feel good about it. I feel good about what we have coming back. I feel good about what we have coming in. And I feel good about our chances to repeat. Now, other teams in the league have something to say about it, but I feel pretty good about it right now.
And
But
it's
yes, I would agree with you.
yeah, but it seems like we're going to have a very similar non-conference schedule. You know, going up against the best of the best. Do you think because we had that difficult schedule last year, it'll prepare us better in being competitive in these games, or it could go down the same way?
I don't think so. I think every team, every 8 months, every team's got 6 or 8 months together. That's the extent of your team. There's a carryover from the guys who went through it. Not a lot of guys who factored into basketball are leaving. I think there's a carryover. I think yeah, I mean, it'll help if you compete. If you don't compete, you're right back where you were, and the whole rest of the year is a struggle. You know what I mean? Where you're trying to, the teams you should beat, you haven't beat, the teams you should compete against, you haven't really competed hard against, that kind of thing. But you got to win. Like, it's not just enough to play NYU. You got to beat them at some point, like we used to do. I mean, you got to beat Illinois Wesleyan, or at least compete. We didn't compete with nobody. If we turn around and continue and do that again this year, because of our situation with our league, the non-conference schedule is almost irrelevant. I know Pop doesn't agree, but I don't really care. I'm the guy who actually said we got to go out and play everybody. But you also have to have the personnel who's willing to make the sacrifice to do it. Excuse me. You have to have the personnel willing to make the sacrifice to do it. playing Williams College when they were #1 in the country, that team had to sacrifice. Playing Rampo when they were top 5, that team had to sacrifice. They competed. Those games, as we've gone over, were close. I mean, they're all, those games were competitive. The ones we played this year were not. So how do we get tougher? Are we going to get tougher? Are we going to defend better? Are we going to rebound better, which we did not do very well? Are we going to play together better? Are we going to screen better? Are we going to share the ball better? That's what that'll take. I mean, you have everything you need to beat those guys you have. Whether you do it or not, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on these guys because I think they did great stuff. But, it wasn't stellar. It wasn't a stellar, preseason schedule. And whether, and then we lost big game with Sarah Lawrence, never should have happened. And, cost yourself a home game or at least one, maybe two. So, but you know what? You can't take away from them that they won. No one's ever going to take that away, and that's something to be very proud of, which I am. But did you get the best out of yourself? I'm not sure yet. We're about to find out. We got to see what happens. You got to let the freshmen who come in help, transfers if we get any, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of work for the guys to work on over the summer and the off season, and
Yeah.
we'll see what the results show in the next year. Is the coaching staff expected to be the same or any additions?
This I have no idea. I would guess. Like, I have no clue. It's not something that's come up, and it's always assumed that everybody will be back. So none of that, none of that changes. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, people have lives, it gets busy. They're not making a lot of money as an assistant. I know Ellie's planning on being back. And I'm sure Joe, he's got nothing to do. So he'll be back. I said it, Joe. And then I don't know about the rest. The rest is really
Well, Ronnie, what's Ronnie got to do besides come back? I think Ronnie probably wants to coach until he's 100.
He loves it. He loves it.
Yeah.
I'm stepping off for that. I got no opinion.
Well, it's a good segue into my next segment on coaches, because a coach, whether you want to take the credit or not, a coach that you molded was our very own Akiva Poppers. First year coaching, got all the way to the JV finals with Ramaz. Unfortunately, came up short against Flatbush in overtime. Is there anything you want to say to?
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm interrupting you. There's a lot because now I'm going to interview Pop. Okay, see what this is like. Pop, like you're a guest on our program right now. You're not just a, loser producer in the back of the room throwing up stuff you shouldn't throw up on the screen. But
Well, 1 second. Let me throw something up on the screen. I haven't done it yet.
Well, no, you don't have to do.
Here we go. Really. Coach Katz, 86 years old.
Now 86. I look pretty
now
good
86, for 86. Pretty remarkable.
I look pretty good for 86.
Good for 86.
All y'all making fun of me. All y'all making fun of me. I'm pretty good shape for an 86-year-old man. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, Pop. Now you embarrass me enough. Time to embarrass you, Pop. Let me ask you this question, because you spent, I don't know, 3-4 years picking brains, maybe longer, from the time you were a small little freshman sitting in the front row.
I was sophomore. I didn't pick brains.
You still had bony feet. Max Stern, athletic center, to eventually making
the shorts were still very much popular then.
Yeah, making a corporate takeover of
the gym is still a million degrees. And if they get air conditioning in there, then maybe we'll get rid of the shorts.
A corporate takeover of Max Live, and then you turn it. Okay. So when we spoke about this opportunity, I told you there are things in theory that work, but you have to get them on the floor. What, tell me your experience in your first year as a coach, and what's the 3 things you learned either to do or not to do? And I'm talking about coaching specific. I'm not talking about players, or, it could be strategy, but give me 3 things that you said, boy, if I do this again, I would blah. If I do this again, I would not blah. Like what is that? I just gave you a great question, Paul.
It's a good question.
I know it is.
First thing is, there was less of a foundation in the most basic of the basics than I expected coming in. Meaning,
you were warned. You were warned of that.
I was, and we spent a tremendous amount of time on the basics of passing and catching. But I would say even, pivoting, making yourself an option to the guy with the ball, playing off 2 feet, just like the basic of the basics that we were like, we are not good enough at this yet. And our opponent in this next game is going to take advantage of it if we don't rep it in practice in February.
Mm-hmm.
So we were spending time in February on pivoting, and it worked. It was good that we did. And I would say also, the work as part of this point, the work that we did on passing and catching really helped over the course of the year. Like we cut our turnovers from where they were in December, pretty much in half to where we were in February.
Okay.
So that would be point number 1.
That is the goal.
Yeah. So point number 1 would be to I think we did the right thing in terms of spending a lot of time on basics. I would say we needed to spend time on stuff which was more basic than I thought we needed to spend time on, even in the preseason. Number 2 would be establishing, and I think it's a lot easier as once you're in your second year than in your first year, but I think we failed to establish sufficient standards in terms of our expectations behaviorally, both in practice and games. So we had 3 technicals by November 7th. Rest of the year we had no technicals because we had to put our foot down and say, if you get another technical, this is what's going to happen.
How'd you do that? What did you do?
If you get a technical foul, you're on the bench for at least the next 8 minutes. Our discretion to make it longer. If you get a second technical foul in the season, you're not playing the next game. And if you get a third, we have to discuss your being on the team.
There you go. So no talking back to the referee. Should be a rule for every coach.
Not just the well, first of all, the referee, and it was don't get me wrong, we still had guys talking to the referees, but not as bad as was earlier in the year. But also just like showboating, like I hit a 3-0, look at me, I'm going to do this fancy celebration in your face, Oh,
I get it. I'm saying it should be a thing. Like you appoint a captain for a reason. The referees ask for captains before the game for a reason. They are the only ones who are allowed to talk to the referee by rule.
Yeah.
So our kids, I'm not saying just ours, but everybody. We profess to live a different kind of lifestyle, so we should not do that. But everybody talks to referees. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Because my teams never did it. I wouldn't tolerate it. You're going to have a hard enough time dealing with me that you don't need to get another person involved. Okay, that's 2. What's 3?
I would say that also extends to, and I don't think we did a great job of this. Again, I think it would be easier second year because they used to like, hey, look, like, I know what I'm doing. We know what we're doing. It's like, this is what it is. You don't like it, leave. In terms of like, hey, if we blow our whistle in practice, everyone comes to the middle. You better not shoot the basketball. And I don't think we did a good enough job early in the year of enforcing stuff like that. And so later, yeah. Third thing. See, it's a very arbitrary number, 3. Where do you come up with 3?
Well, I mean, 3 is because, if you watch a comedy, they give you the setup line is the first 2 lines, and they hit you with the third line. So if you only add 2, that's fine. If you want to hold back, I have questions for you.
Okay, here's what I would say. I'll say my third. This is something we did well. We spent so much time working on passing and cutting in practice that which man-to-man, like 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 work, that we became so much better over the course of the year at passing and catching in all aspects of the game. Press break, zone offense, everything was positively affected from our man-to-man work, of the guys having to learn how to make reads for themselves.
Right.
So I was spending a lot of time practice, more so than I thought it would, helped us in all aspects of the game, not just man-to-man offense.
Right. So I know in the Yeshiva League, the JV's independent of the varsity, which is beyond me. But will Scott, we should have him on. Will Scott continue what you were doing with the movement?
Yes. So
and
we
motion
discussed
work?
this. He came up to me after the semifinal win, that he wants to, and also after the championship loss, that he wants to put in some of what we're doing with screening and cutting. I don't think he wants to do it exclusively.
Right, as a
I
set.
think you want to do it as a set, or like a lot of coaches have this. A lot of coaches have like, I'll give you an example. SAR. So SAR has they'll have their 1-up motion, or their one motion, their 5 motion, and then their 2 play, their 3 play, and their 4 play. So most of the time they're running one of their motions, and then the rest of the time they're running their plays. So Scott's got a bunch of plays. So I think his idea would probably be our base. Like, if I don't call anything, we are running your motion that you ran this past year, and if I do call something, then we're running my play, which is definitely different than something he's ever done.
Look, it's his prerogative. I mean, I don't endorse that. I think a lot of coaches are afraid to give up control, and I think if you run this offense, you have to give up control. That's just how it is. You're either a teacher or you're not.
I know we've discussed this offline. I don't really want to go too deep into what we're doing exactly. I know you weren't a fan of this, but it worked for us. We're not running the purest. We have some specific stuff. I know you know what we're doing.
I know what you're doing. I know the coward that you are. You don't have to. Look, I think it's difficult. Look, I think it's difficult, especially when you're a young coach, to do something like that. And people grow up thinking coaches are micromanagers. I find that coaches who joystick their kids, or joystick their teams, one, I don't think it's a lot of fun to play for, and 2, I just think you have to have more confidence in your stuff. You're either a teacher or you're not.
Yeah,
I'm not that smart a basketball coach. I teach my offense, I teach my defense, and I'm done. And now we just rep it. You know what I mean? And so you, of course, being the coward that you are, with Schaff in your ear, So I get it, but your I don't want to say methodology, but your kind of philosophy still stays in line with it. So I give you a little bit of a pass.
Yeah, kind of the reason we did it, and I think I explained when.
I know why you did it. You don't have to. You don't have to change. You don't have to explain.
Well, I'll say it anyways because the people deserve to know.
People probably don't care, but go ahead.
Well, if they're watching this show, they probably do care.
Okay.
The Danny's of the world, like he's listening.
Probably about what I say. They probably don't give a crap.
But
go ahead.
Our guys were struggling, and part of this is because we have maximum 2 practices a week. Like for the entire season, I think we had 35 practices, maybe. But the guys were struggling to know what to do. So we kind of made things a little more rules based as to here's the basic thing. After you do this, here's what you should be thinking instead of like, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. So we limited the options in terms of the
I
basic
got it,
things.
Pop. I was
We
aware
didn't
of what you were
we didn't
doing.
we didn't take it away from them.
I
Just
got it.
because
I know
your
what you
role
were
is
doing.
X doesn't mean you can't do Y.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you were doing. I know what you're doing. I know why you were doing it. Okay, let's go back. I mean, I'm assuming you watched the Duke game the other night. I'm gonna say something that I know this generation is gonna argue with me. This is the bottom line in basketball, and I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are, what you think you know. Basketball, as Duke proved the other night, basketball boils down to four things on the floor: passing, catching, layups, free throws. In the last 2 minutes of the game, Duke couldn't pass it, probably the last 10, but in particular, when they started pressing them, they couldn't pass it, they couldn't catch it, they couldn't make free throws. I mean, Proctor goes to the line, shoot a 1-on-1 with, I don't know, 20 seconds or so left. He makes them both. It's a 3-point game. Everybody's going backdoor down the other end. Like you just, the game's over for all intents and purposes. Worst case, you go to overtime. And I like my chances because I have the best player in the world on this level. So, but they can't pass it, they can't catch it, and they don't make free throws. That's the ball game. You could dress it all up with your 3-point shots, your dribble drive, your 40 dribbles in, within a 5-foot radius to go 2 feet. And whatever your trainer taught you, the bottom line is your trainers. If you're a kid and you're paying a trainer and he got you dribbling, if you're a parent and you're dumb enough to pay a trainer who just got you dribbling, instead of passing and catching and layups and free throws, he is stealing your money, period. And any trainer who wants to come on this show, open invitation, and discuss with me why I'm wrong is welcome to. Passing, catching, layups, free throws. I don't care how great you shoot the three. I don't care how great you defend. I mean, you got to get stops. So that's no, but on the offensive end, if you can't pass it and catch it, as Duke showed the other night, and you can't make free throws and layups, you will never win. It's just, I mean, you could be, it was incredible. Duke had 2 turnovers in the first half. And as the game went on, you could see that number creep, they got they were -4, then they were -6. I think they ended up -8 or 10, like -4, like in the second half. They missed 4, they missed 6, they missed 8, that kind of thing. So bottom line, I don't care how great you shoot it. If you can't pass it and catch it, you're not going to win. You can't play. That's why you spending time on that fundamentals work in February is as valuable as whatever else you're going to do. I don't care if you're going to run motion. I don't care if you're going to run, 30 set plays. None of that should take precedence over passing, catch, and layups, free throw. Don Shula once said, coach said, kid said, player, it's a little mistake. And Don Shula said, there are no little mistakes. There are mistakes. But I think for every coach who's trying to do 5,000 different things, if he doesn't understand after Saturday night the value of passing and catching, either go back to school and learn it or quit. Because you're teaching the wrong stuff and you're stealing information from your kids by not giving it to them. And as far as, we talked about the breakdown of your preseason fundamentals, offense, and defense, right? But then you have to keep doing them during the year. So you saying that you were passing and catching is not a big deal. Like that's what you should have been doing. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud that you won. It's not an easy place to coach. I'm proud that you got where you got. I'm proud that you, I'm not proud that you're such an analytic stat head. That doesn't. I'm embarrassed of that a little bit, but the bottom line is if you can keep your teams from scoring against you, you know, and you did first year, you did great. You did great, and I'm proud of you. I'm not, you know, you asked me about taking the job. Did I think you could do it? And I actually told you what exactly.
That I should take it.
You're such an idiot.
I don't remember what you said.
I said I thought you'd be great at it if you didn't follow the pack.
Oh, did you really say that?
Yeah, I did. If you follow everybody else, you're just, whatever. You know, you're 8-8. You have to do things that other people aren't willing to do, Pop. Dana Mizrahi is not willing to do that because he's a coward. Called you out, Danny. He's a coward. He's not willing to do it. He's not willing to do it. He's willing to just mail it in. You know, I got this practice, talk to my AD, cry baby. Just do what has to be when it has to be done, the way it has to be done, and do it that way all the time.
Let me say this about Danny. We played 3 Eastern Conference teams in the playoffs, semis, a quarter, semis, and championship game. And the best film that I had for how to play against those 3 for all 3 teams was the YDE film.
Okay. Would you like to know why, Pop? Because they weren't playing because they got eliminated from the playoffs.
Well,
if it comes down to camera, they're the #1 team in the league. Comes down to winning, execution, doing it differently than everybody else. Good luck, Danny, coward. That's it. I'm on record, Danny, you're a coward. Everybody knows it. Call me Rosh Hashanah. Maybe I'll ask you, you know, Yom Kippur. Maybe I'll ask you for Mechila. Maybe
he has questions, doesn't he, Pop?
Yeah, he does have questions, but he sent them to you, I think.
I forgot what they were, so we're not going to address them.
You got to pull them out. No, he told me at the All-Star game we got to do at least 2 questions.
Something about the basic
Coach, just on your point on free throws.
Something about what? What'd you say?
I don't even remember. Like it was off the top.
Yeah, it's just on your point on free throws. As a team, we shot 46% from our line this year, and that's and we still somehow got to the championship.
And you know why you went to the championship? Because the rest of the league shoots the same way.
No, it's not true. It's not true. I have the one thing in the
Pop. How many teams shot over 60% in your league from the free throw line?
On the free throw line against us, almost all of them against us.
Straight up on a year. You gave me a number.
I don't have everyone's stats. I think most teams did.
I'm telling you, most teams don't.
They definitely shot better than 55%. They definitely shot better than us. Well, they definitely shot better than us. That I know.
You need to work at it.
Well, we do. We made them. We made our kids.
You obviously didn't do it enough.
Maybe not. Maybe we need to make.
Maybe you told me you shot 46%.
Well, okay. The problem we had is that we didn't.
Yeah. What?
We're not good at shooting free throws. You're right. We did. We played 11 teams because we had 13 games. Played 2 teams twice, so we played 11 teams, and we did hold 10 of the 11 to their lowest or their second lowest scoring output of the season regulation.
You're putting people to sleep, Pop, with this nerd stuff. Like, I get it. We already know you defended. That's why you can.
That's why we got where we got.
Yeah. That's why you get away with 46% of the free throw line. What you need to do is underscore that pass and catch and layups, free throws. Did you win the championship? At some point, you got to make free throws and layups.
No, we shot 6 for 14 from the free throw line on the championship.
Well, and what'd you lose by?
Lost in overtime by 4.
Okay, you could have used some of them 8 points, Bob.
I think
if you only go 11 for 14, which is kind of normal, you win the game. There's nothing else to say, Pop. I've been through this 1,000 times. Dude, and I watched how many layups you missed early. Passing, catch, and layups, free throws. End of discussion. That will never change. I don't care.
We also missed a bunch of layups early. Yeah.
Did I not?
I know. I'm the same thing. I forgot about that.
All right.
There's a lot of
Well,
things we could have done better in that game. That's no doubt about it.
obviously, Pop, but I'm just saying, if you make the free throw, you don't have to do anything better. Matter of fact, you don't even have to make those layups. If you go 11 for 14 in regulation, you win the game.
Yeah.
Passing, catch, and layups, free throws, gentlemen. That's it. I hope you learned that lesson, Pop.
I knew
I
it
hope
coming in.
everybody learned. I hope everybody, because Duke was great all year.
Yeah.
But the fact that they couldn't make their layups and free throws, no, the fact that they couldn't pass it and catch it more than anything else. And they're trying to screen for each other. I'm not really sure. See, I always want the best passer taking the ball out. And the best passer was not. Because Flag should have taken the ball out. 6'9", the big on the baseline wouldn't have bothered him. You know, the big on it, when I got the ball on the side, he could turn it over. Like that wouldn't have bothered Flag. He's 6'9", he's a great passer. And James, not so much. But they do that. Maybe the 4 or 3 or whatever the hell they do is supposed to take it out. Me, I want the best player take my best passer taking it out. Who plays quarterback at recess? Raise your hand. That kid, he's my, you any good? Join his team. He a good quarterback? Yeah, he is. Well, he's taking a bullet. That's how I did it. And we didn't really have most of those problems. It's when we got in inbounds that we had a problem, but we didn't have problems getting in inbounds. So, all right, I'm done with you, Pop. Good job. Great job. Very proud of you. Congratulations. Next time, win the championship.
That's the plan.
And Danny's still a coward. Go ahead, Oren.
Well, actually, while we're on the topic of Duke, something that I think that was criticized for years in college basketball was back when John Calipari was at Kentucky, the one and done model.
Everybody does now, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that was Duke's demise a little bit Saturday night?
I mean, that they're too young. I mean, James is a junior or a senior. Proctor's a junior. So, I mean.
Yeah, but I guess most people are picking on Cooper Flag.
I pick on him all I want. He may take a pay cut when he gets to the NBA because it's NIL, but kid's a millionaire. He's laughing at you. You keep saying whatever you're saying. He's going to be a perennial all-star in that league. I said it. He's going to be great. He's not the rest of those Dukies. He's going to be great.
Not that it's a great league that he's going to.
The NBA sucks, but the best players in the world are there. So I love the guy. He's a total package. Got to probably shoot the ball a little better, but he hits a 3 from the corner. I think puts him back up 9, and then goes a monster long time without really getting a good look or a good possession. It was not good. It was a bad job. Passing, catching, layups, free throws. You just got to do it. And it's a team that was great at it. And then just wet the bed. And whether that's youth, like my son Donnie believes, or, Ellie also believes it's youth. Maybe Ellie believes it's youth and Donnie doesn't believe it's youth. Donnie was like their upperclassmen who made those mistakes. Proctor's got to make those free throws. So, yeah, I mean, there's some of it. You only have your team, like I said, especially in college, you only have them for 8 months, maybe 6. But, you do preseason and, so that's it. That's your unit. And then you're with that unit and that's it. There's a new things get introduced into your unit every year. So it's that part of it.
So we'll actually get to your national championship prediction at the end of the episode. Something that happened last weekend where we had the opportunity, or at least I had the opportunity to schmooze with your esteemed colleague, Adi Seener, was the Red Sarachek Tournament. Did you have a chance to tune into the tournament at all? What were your thoughts? Did any?
Yeah, I was having a problem falling asleep. So the best thing to do is turn on the Sarachek Tournament. That was a cure for insomnia. I did. I watched Donnie's team play. I thought they were pretty good the first night against EULA. I think they exposed EULA for not being the #1 seed in that tournament, which they never should have been.
Well, now hold up now.
You think DRS
So
should have been the
hold
top
up
seed?
nothing. Hold up
So who
nothing.
should have been?
What?
So who should have been?
Well, I mean, TABC did win the championship.
No, they won the Sarachek Championship,
Yeah,
but they
but they
lost
lost
the
to
Yeshiva
DRS.
Championship.
I get it.
Should have been DRS.
But what about? I think the California teams just were flat out overrated.
Right.
There's no way. There's no way Mississippi should be in that game. None. No way. And the fact is, the kid they rely on to score the ball couldn't score the ball. And yet they're still within 9. It's always striking distance in the game at halftime. And there's just no way.
But isn't that due to great coaching on Donnie's part?
I mean, I'd love to say that. I mean, it's great preparation. I thought they were very prepared. I thought they defended very well. I thought they were very, very prepared for you. I think, they just lack the ball handling, and, if their kids not making shots, they have a problem scoring the ball. So I thought I thought Donnie did a great job. And then if, like I've told you 1,000 times, you don't win that day, hell with the tournament. It's worthless. It's not worth it.
Even tier 2 from the Sifta, though?
Yeah, but so what? You want to win it because you're playing a game. You play to win the game, but
I always thought I would
tell Popper, do you think I care? I finished in 16th place or 20th place. You think I give a crap?
I understand, but trying to win a tier 2 championship is different.
Right. From a Sifta.
Why? I came to win the championship.
Right. But Valley Torah didn't have a chance to win the championship, so why did they come in the first place?
We're not talking about Valley Torah. We're talking about Donnie.
I was thought at that point it was to play to win to avoid crappy time slots the following day,
which I got every year. But
I remember you had to play like an
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Not only did we play at 8 a.m., but we had finished playing.
It was
but we
12-0
playing that night at 2:30.
And
then we had to drive back.
It was 1, but it was
no, it was not 1, Pop, because that kid got hurt from Chicago, and we had a 45-minute delay when he was laying on the ground. And my text back to Mel is like 2:45 in the morning, so we weren't out of there until 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Maybe that's when you
drive that. What?
Maybe that's when you went to sleep, and then John Rosen was sick.
No, we went to sleep at 3:30. Sorry,
yeah,
John. Sorry. And John was straight up, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was 12-0, 6 minutes left in the second.
Hold on. You're talking about that year. I'm talking about the year before that. The year before that, we're playing Chicago, Crown, in a bandbox in Oren's nonsensical gym. And the kid, we're staying an hour and something away, and the kid separates his shoulder or something.
Right.
And we have to wait 45 minutes to go there. We don't get to sleep till 3:30, 4 o'clock. And then we have to play 8 o'clock the next morning.
Who'd you play the next morning?
We came to that game for moral support.
No, I came to the RSG game, but what was the next morning game that you're talking about?
I don't even remember.
Skokie. They played Skokie.
The game at YU, no.
No, that was the Monday. That was on Monday.
Right.
No, Skokie was Monday. There was a game.
Right.
Sunday?
You're talking about the first year we came when we beat Eula. We got to play somebody. We play somebody Saturday night. We don't get back or get to sleep till 3:30. And then we have to be up and play at 8 o'clock in the morning. Hillel.
No, you played Hillel on Monday.
Oh, right. Monday morning. You played Hillel early
Monday.
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 Right. That was Monday game, but we played somebody early Sunday.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, they might have moved us to 9:30 because of how late it was, but we played somebody early.
Maybe it was Miss Sifta, actually. Is that possible?
That's very possible. You might have lost to Miss Sifta.
Yeah. We did. We definitely lost to Miss Sifta. Oh, yeah, maybe it was the next day because they went home. Because they went and slept in Jersey instead of going back to the hotel.
Oh, that's definitely possible.
And we went back to the hotel like the idiots that we were. So whatever it is. Anyway, I did watch it. Congratulations, Oren. And that's a big screw you to all the people who gave you grief as an athletic director this year, whether their kid didn't make an all-star team, or my kid's not playing enough, or my kid should have been on the varsity, all that crap you have to go through as an AD. And I'm not sure that happened to you, but it happens to every AD. I can't see it didn't happen to you. But the fact that y'all won the championship, you know, you just got to get them to play hard. I thought your guys played hard. You know, and so much for that. I think the biggest piece of crap in sports is you can't beat a team 3 times in a row, 3 times in the same year.
I've always talked about that philosophy.
Pure crap. And it was pure crap when the Redskins and the Giants played I don't even know what year that was, 86 or something, when the Giants won the Super Bowl. They beat the Redskins 17-0 the third time they played.
Right, because this was the third meeting between Megan and TABC.
After whooping, that's right, and you beat them twice before. So, congratulations to you. That's what did you learn?
Well, I think there's this debate every year about whether you'd win the league or Sarachek. I still feel like it's the league is the correct answer.
Win your league, man.
Because that's what you work all year towards. Having said that, though, I think to lose a championship game like that in overtime and to bounce back to win,
yeah, it's tough. That's good.
Yeah, it's tough. So I give the guys a lot of credit. And the Fasman game, we could put that to the side, but to win 3 games in a span of 4 days against SAR, Eula, and Megan David, that's tough, and I give the guys credit in that regard.
Good job. Things kind of cut your way, but it doesn't matter. You can only play who's in front of you. Do your job. I watched some of that because I wanted to see a couple of kids play. And I think once you took the lead, you kind of never really let them back, even though they might have thought they were getting back. It was just kind of
in regards to Megan David or Eula?
Yeah, Megan David. I didn't watch the Eula game. No, I didn't feel that was going to be competitive.
Oh, Coach, you missed Shaf and I on the call.
Yeah, I'm crushed, Pop.
Yeah, really terrible.
You were crushed. What call?
True travesty for you. We called the TABC Eula game because all the top 7 guys weren't available.
So they went to the bottom of the barrel and grabbed you and Shaf, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, but that turned out to be the best broadcast of the weekend. Only 2 guys who actually know something from the entire group who called the game. So maybe I'll go back and listen to it in my headphones.
Well, Ida Crown didn't want our services this year, so the 3 of us.
Yeah, I'm crushed. I'm crushed with that. How'd they work out? Lost day 1, huh? They didn't get smoked.
They got smoked by Braha and Hillel.
They lost 73-37 in the 8-9 game. It wasn't that bad though. It was a 20-point game with 4 to go, and then it went to 36.
Yeah, okay. 24 to go. The game's over.
But it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, Coach, because it's my understanding that when the boys were in the locker room when they were down 3 to Megan at halftime, they never really felt like the game was in jeopardy for them.
You're talking about TABC.
Yeah.
I thought TABC played a horrible first half, and they're still.
Look. Let me here's some coaching for you. What do you say at halftime? You're down 3, Pop.
Well, I'm not the TABC coach. I can tell you what I said down 11 against Flatbush.
All right, go ahead. Tell me what you said down.
Are they doing anything differently than we told you they were going to do, or that we showed you they were going to do, or that we practiced that they were going to do?
So all you did was say, "Look how right I am."
Pretty much, yeah.
Not what I would do.
Then I said, can we use triple threat and not just give into their ball pressure?
Coaching 101, Pop. Stop telling the team how good you are. Here's coaching 101.
Yeah.
I'm down 3. That's 1 possession game.
You win the half, you win the game, blah blah blah.
No, well, not really, because you're still down 3.
Here's
what I say, and this is why I'm me and you're you, and you can't come up with it.
Yeah.
Fellas, we have not played well at all. We haven't given 5 minutes of effort here. And yet, it's a 1 possession game. stopping the score, and it's our ball game. All we got to do is get a stop, a score, and a stop, and we're going to win again. It's one possession, gentlemen. And
Right,
we
but
have,
actually,
you know,
out of the halftime break, Shabbat hit a jumper. So
doesn't matter. It doesn't remove what you're trying to say. It's you're -3 and you have not played well, fellas. They can't play any better than they just did, and yet they couldn't shake us. And we're not playing well. If we just put a good half of basketball together, they're not going to be able to play with us. And that's exactly what happened. Whether Oz said that to his team or not, I don't know. But we had a team about a week and a half ago that had wanted to play us all year here in Israel. And they were up 22-9 at the quarter. And they were hooting and hollering, talking all this nonsense. And in the huddle, I had told my team, we took like 15 seconds. Did you hear that? You know what that is? That sounds like a team that has no idea they're about to get blown out to gym. And just drilled them the entire second half, +30, +40, whatever it was. So what you say, you don't even have to make adjustments necessarily unless they're needed. But you just tell them, hey, we haven't played very well. We're right in the game. Like, we can't play worse than this, fellas, and they just gave us their best shot. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Mag and David take the lead right before the half?
yeah,
Yep.
I think we were up 1, and then Jack Dweck hit a jumper right before the buzzer.
Right. So you just kind of go like, fellas, we didn't play well and pretty much control the whole half. Let's just win the first 4 minutes here and win the game. That's the message that you got to give your team. So that's what I would have done. I'm sure Oz did something that worked for him, but that would have been the way I approached it. Of course, I'm not the brilliant tactician that Pop is, so I have to rely on.
Well, then there's a difference between being down 11 and being down 3.
Yeah, you're down 11.
That's true. 11 is different than
And
3.
all you have to do, Pop, let's cut this in half by the end of the quarter. There are no 11-point shots.
That I did say. That I did say.
It actually was a misleading scoreline.
We had it down to 2 5 minutes into the quarter. Within 5 minutes, we had cut it from 11 to 2.
Okay.
Yeah. But I did make the point about no 11-point shots, but that's a pretty basic. I don't need to be I need to be mentored by you to figure that one out.
You're mentored by me, is that what you just said?
I'm saying I didn't need to be mentored by you to figure out to say that there's no 11-point shot.
Well, you're lucky it was me and not Danny Mizrahi because you never pulled that out. You did. You never said it if it was Danny Mizrahi. You'd have been like, oh, my AD doesn't give me enough gym time. I gotta play zone. Crybaby. You're a crybaby, you coward. All right.
Coach, it was a pretty misleading scoreline, though. It was a pretty tight championship game up until 3 minutes left?
You mean the TABC Mag and David game?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's a championship game. But again, you have to win your league. But the ability to bounce back from winning your league is a big time.
Yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough.
Big time.
Very emotional to lose a game like that.
Big
And then
time. Well, congratulations to you, Mr. AD. You had a good year. So don't fire us just yet.
Did anything else about the tournament stand out to you?
No. But passing Katz and layups, free throws. It's just
Rings true everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about, just put it to you this way: when you think about, I guess we've talked about this before. Maybe it was 2015, for Gabriel, Ryan, Donnie, Simcha, Eitan, Tyler, Kevin, Sammy, Leibowitz, Max, and maybe one or two others all played in that tournament. So the core of the best team in the history of YU, the core of that team all played in that tournament at the same time. Nowadays, you're lucky you get 2 or 3 kids out of a tournament like this. Lucky. So what's crazy is back those days, you didn't really pay a trainer. I mean, maybe some guys did a little bit, but it really wasn't a thing. Now everybody does it, and it's just getting worse. Maybe they're not teaching you what they should be teaching you. Right? How is it just getting worse? Basketball camps, trainers, and they can't produce anything of real substance to help the one school that brings them there to play in that tournament for a reason. I mean, if that's not a damning commentary on this tournament and the state of Jew basketball, I don't know what is, because that year, whatever that was, 15 or 16, the core of that group, the only guy missing from the top, I don't know, 7 or 8 guys in rotation is Bar, maybe Caleb, and Ofek. But the core of that group the team that went into the first time ever played in that tournament. They all played in that tournament. Ryan wasn't there, but they all played in that tournament. Gabe, Donnie, Sim, Eitan, they all played in that tournament.
That's when the big conversation happened over Shabbos, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was so that's what I'm trying to say. Every year you try to find 1 or 2 now, instead of having, a bunch to choose from and turn down. I'm not even sure, maybe did Jeff play in that tournament?
I think Jeff
I don't know.
I think Jeff and Caleb were in the 2017 tournament.
They played the next year. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm saying like that's how great that tournament was back then. I mean, it wasn't a great gameplay necessarily, but it was a great tournament. Did Justin play that year? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it was year before. It doesn't matter.
Played in
It was the year before.
earlier. Yeah, and Jordan also.
The point being that we're not getting that out of this year's tournament, or last year's tournament, or the year before that. So what are you paying these trainers for? Because they're not producing what you need them to give you. Bottom line.
Something that happened a few days later was Pop's main event. The Yeshiva,
Don't even give me that. Don't even give me that.
Yeshiva League Pass All-Star.
I'm not even that to talk about. I mean, dumber things in this world have not necessarily happened.
Well, 1 second. It's a lead.
No,
it's not. He's not going to talk about the game. It's a leading point.
Listen, the social component of it was very nice. It was nice to connect with various people when I was there.
Good, go to dinner. Have pizza. I like to do this where, my kid's an all-star, your kid. So a guy can talk during Kiddush instead of listening off door. Talk about his kid was in the all-star game. Like, come on, dude. It's the dumbest idea in the world. All-star games are essentially stupid. You want an all-star game, here's how you do it. You take the best kids in this league and you go play the best kids in the Catholic League.
That would actually be a lot of fun to watch.
Or the PSAL. It really wouldn't. Because you'd have to make sure Magen David Adom was there. Because there'd be body parts everywhere.
No, I'm saying like it'd be fun to watch in a sense that it would be like, it'd be comedic.
I'm just saying.
You had Pop coaching against the Catholic All-Stars.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you really wanted to, but other than that, this is just, you're just playing camp basketball.
Right.
It's just, whatever. I'm not a fan. What I'm also not a fan of is ridiculous behavior by TABC in that championship game. The fans at TABC. Again, TABC. Again, same administration. Again, all the rabbis there. Again, they allowed it to happen more than once. Who are we? Who are we as a people
It was mentioned on the broadcast too by
And rightly so. Thank you. I don't know if I'm a legend, but thank you for pointing it out because it's a pet peeve of mine. Like
Yosef Silver. Yosef Silver.
Yeah, well, look, Yosef Silver is right in that you're a single sex school. You're a single gender school because you're religious. Your behavior is religious. And then you turn around and do that. That's pure, unadulterated sheker, falsehood. And the fact that your people encourage it is embarrassing, Oren. So if there was a blemish on the game, I'm happy you won, but I was embarrassed for you. And I realized it stopped after a couple of times, right?
Yeah, there were the rabbi spoke up and said, like, got to stop doing this. Yeah, it's
good job. 7th year, 7 years later. Good job. Or
the only problem is, once a graduating class graduates, it's passed on to the next grade. It's like a culture.
No, it's not. Not if you guys are coming to game tonight. Let me be really clear how this behavior is going to work. I've always done that to people who came watch us play. And there's nothing that keeps the Rabbeim from doing that. Nothing, zero. If you are, quote unquote, a Ben Torah, if you are, you live a certain lifestyle. You're not going to this school because it's co-ed. You're not going to, and then you have this behavior. By the way, it's not exclusive to just TABC because other people do it. This is not the first time I've talked to you about TABC doing it. Please feel free to play this for your administration because it's embarrassing that it's always TABC. They're not alone. Frisch does it. I mean, I'm not going to call everybody out. Other people do it. I'm not, and people. And so that will they do it in college? If they're not Jewish, they're not professing to live a particular lifestyle. They're not claiming that they have a certain code of ethics. They're saying, hey, all's fair in love and war. You're saying we're above that. It's more about me, though. More about our character traits. How's that working for you? Because I was embarrassed for you and your administration. I appreciate you putting a stop to it. Good for you.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're not going to listen to me because I just oversee student athletes. I don't oversee student fans. So,
right. So
I try the best. I try the best I could.
Wasn't it in the middle of a school day, Oren?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't come to the game without a certain level of behavior. I mean, that's not complicated. That's not hard to do. And if you're going to continue to behave this way, you're all going to fail the next day's classes, whether you have a test or a quiz or you get check marks for not being at certain events. You all stay home. You get suspended in the days of zero. Care how much money your parents have. We either stand for something or we don't. And like I've told you here, sometimes you got to tell the world what you stand for and what you won't stand for. And sadly, TABC failed in that. And the reason I point it out is because TABC and me have had this, it's been my thing about TABC for quite a few years, and yet it's still here. And by the way, the fact that they win and they're in this tournament and they're successful is part of the reason why your behavior has to get better. In other words, or Yuccaplatz in wherever city they are in Connecticut or New Jersey or New York, they're not playing because they're not good enough. So you don't even get to see their bad behavior if there is. But here's a team that's good enough. That's my issue. And kudos to Joseph Silver for pointing it out. He was right. He was right. Whether he quoted me or not, he was right. And for Danny and Giddy, you might disagree with me. Screw yourself.
I think he did quote you.
Who's it? Who did?
Silver. He said that Coach Katz has spoken about this.
He got mentioned on the national broadcast.
He did. All 12 people. He did. He did say it. He did say it. It was still embarrassing. I was embarrassed as a Jew. Like, why are we still doing this? When are we going to learn? Like, and if you have an AD who's not Jewish or who's not religious and doesn't understand the values that you're supposed to represent, you either educate him or get rid of him. And if he is religious and he endorses his behavior, send your kid to another school. Because the messages you're getting, piss poor. As a parent and a grandparent, I mean, as a grandparent, I don't get a say in my kid's education. But as a parent, I would send him elsewhere. Like, if that's what you're going to tolerate, and that's what you're going to, you're going to allow this behavior, and then lecture us on what we're not allowed to do over a chag, or that we can't be at a certain pizza store if they're girls, or you know what I mean? All that nonsense that these places do. Don't take that value system with me. It comes with an entire way of life. It doesn't come with a selective way of life. That when we get to this point, we could be jerks. No. It was wrong. Heard it. Kind of felt like I should shut off the broadcast. I didn't even hear Yosef. Somebody sent it to me. Yaakov, somebody sent it to me. Player of mine sent it to me.
Maybe it was Danny. Oh, Yaakov Meister.
Yaakov Meister. I got a shout out. So I didn't care, but I said, boy, that guy's smart. What, Oren?
Oh no. I guess our last segment before we part.
Wait. Back to the All-Star game.
Oh,
we gave too much.
You never got to the point. You never got to the point.
Piece with the All-Star
All-Star games suck. Pop, here's the point. They're worthless. All they do is cause contention. It's worthless. It's worthless. I hated them. I didn't participate in them. Anytime I was asked to coach in them, I turned it down. They're dumb. We need to say anything else? They're dumb. It's a dumb idea. You did it to make money. I get it.
Well, I didn't do it to make money.
Okay.
I'm not making any money.
Huh?
I'm not making any money.
Publicity thing, and it's, dude, there's no need for it. None. Go play a better league than you. Then that makes sense. But if you're all intercontinental, interstellar thing, it's just something. JV and varsity. And then in 2 years from now, I'll be like, oh, he was a JV All-Star. What happened to him?
He's putting it on his LinkedIn profile that Pop coached the JV All-Stars.
Did you really, Pop?
No, I don't even have on my LinkedIn profile that I coached Ramaz.
No, hold on. But like that kid, there's some kid in 10th grade now. God forbid he should be in 9th grade, of course. But there's some kid in 10th grade who's going to go and not be that good on the varsity level.
Yes, that's true.
And he's not going to be an all-star.
Fact.
Because he stayed 6 feet tall and he's no longer back to the basket ready when he's playing in.
Oh, no, 1 second. There are no back to the basket guys in JV basketball. It's
I'm
Yeshiva
giving
League.
you a hypothetical, knucklehead.
Come on, coach. Would you think back to the basket exists in the Yeshiva League?
No. I'm just saying, like,
All
I'm
right.
just telling you. It's like the same guy.
You acknowledge
who's
it
like-
was a very poor theoretical.
What?
So you acknowledge that your theoretical was bad. Like it should have been like his Shlomi, whatever, he's 5'1" and 200 pounds.
Yeah, Pop, your thing sucks. It should stop. It's stupid. It does nothing but cause rancor and dissension, and it does nothing to move the ball forward for the basketball community. The bottom line is all these all-stars, none of them are playing on the next level, maybe 1 or 2. Fair?
That's very fair.
Stop this crap. They're not all-stars, they're also Rands.
So, Coach, you're riding the hot hand. You've been riding the hot hand since your national championship,
The Eagles,
college football, and your Super Bowl prediction. So it's that time of year again. I don't remember the Danny questions, Pop. It was all
he said he sent them to you on WhatsApp. You just pull up the WhatsApp.
I don't have his number. Oh, maybe I do. Oh, good call. Hang on 1 second.
He said choose the best 2 questions.
Hang on, I might
Okay.
actually.
Okay, hold on. Houston and Florida. I gotta admit, I have not seen them.
Okay, Coach, how many of these questions do you have time for? I'll ask them
questions.
all at one. Please ask any of these questions from the two idiots in Brooklyn. I don't know who the other one is.
It's
Kitty
him
Lanyard.
and the other what the hell's the guy's name?
Kitty
Fat-
Lanyard.
Okay, I can't say all these questions on air.
What's his nickname? What's his nickname? He has a nickname.
I can't read all these on
Big
air.
Jelly.
Yeah, Big Jelly. Big
Okay.
Jelly and yeah.
Go ahead. Give me one, Oren.
I'll ask all of them, and you'll decide which one you want.
Oh, I'll ask the first one. I'll tell you if I'll continue with more.
Why are you playing zone?
Next question.
And why are they screening on the ball?
Next question.
Is this motion offense one size fits all offense?
Next question.
Are Yeshiva coaches' number objective to get players prepared for YU or win Yeshiva games?
Next question.
I can't read.
That's
I
a good
can't read the
question.
next one.
That's a good question.
It's not.
I
It's
can't,
stuff.
I
No,
can't
it's
read-
stuff I've been. Hey, I've gone through this with these knuckleheads for 2
I
decades.
can't read the next one. Was
Why
Tamir
not?
Goodman better than Ed Cora?
Ed Coda. It's Ed
Yeah,
Cora.
he misspelled it.
Next question.
Why you have any high level Division I players on their team?
Next question.
That's it.
No,
That's it.
none of them are worth addressing.
Okay, so national championship prediction day, Coach. Who's winning tonight?
There you go. Hold on. I
Florida.
let you pieces of crap ask questions on my show. I've answered them as appropriately as I should. Moving on, knuckleheads. Go ahead now.
Who's winning tonight? Houston or Florida?
I don't care. I know this.
But you have a streak. You have a streak that you need to keep going.
Yeah,
Am
you
I
didn't care about the
one
last
this
one
year?
either.
What?
You didn't care about the last prediction
didn't
either,
care
but you
the
still
last
got it
one.
right.
Look, listen. There's a danger in Houston, being Houston, and there's a positive. So let's talk about the danger. The danger is we can turn up our defense whenever we want, as we did the other night. I kind of think the point that I think it was either Grant Hill or Raftery made it on the broadcast. It could have been Iron Eagle, but they said that they haven't played a lot of close games, Duke.
Right.
I mean, I used to run a style where we were playing in the 40s every night. So we were in a close game every night. And I would say in the huddle, the teams we were playing have never been here. Our 5-point lead was like 30. So they've never been here. We're here every night. So that's what they were able to rely on. Now, can they get away with not shooting the basketball very well again? No, not with Florida. And Florida tall. Well, they have a lot of size.
Yeah, I think they have the tallest player in the tournament.
Yeah. So I don't really care. I don't really know enough.
Florida coach Todd Golden played professionally for Maccabi Haifa.
He did. He was Tamir's teammate. And one of his first coaching jobs was working for Bruce Pearl.
Question from Danny: Who's better, Tamir Goodman or Todd Golden?
That could be a Danny question.
Response for Danny. Shouldn't you have a date at this point in your 50s and single? Go get a date. That's my question. You answer my question, I'll maybe answer your question. Huh?
We're going back to your prediction.
We're going back to my prediction. That's how much time I spent on Danny. What did he say, Pop? What's his next question?
Oh no, I made that one up. That was my question.
Yeah.
Oh, well, screw
Todd
you.
Golden or Tamir Goodman.
Yeah, whatever. I'm not listening to you idiots. Okay. I'm rooting for Todd because Todd's the one Jew left. You know, in a year where the Jewish people in America have been, what's the word, terrorized? I don't know if that's the way, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Have been marginalized, have made the word Jew dirty again. Zionist dirty again. It was good to see 3 Jews there. I was really proud of Bruce for his, remarks at his press conference. I think if Houston messes around again, they're going to get beat. Like if Houston messes around, look, I'm not a fan of Calvin Sampson because I know what he was doing before all this became legal. Now he's just been koshered a little bit.
Right.
Because whatever was illegal is now legal. That being said, I'm going to go with Florida, only because of Todd, and I just think they've been the most consistent team throughout the tournament. And they've had to deal with close games.
Yeah. And it's kind of been an SEC year in college basketball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of, and the SEC's playing in the final. It's not, kind of not, it wasn't Duke's MO. Duke was pretty. I found Florida a little tougher. Now that may change tonight. I don't know, because Houston could be the toughest team in America. But I'm going with Florida for Todd, and I'm going with Florida just because I think you can't do it twice. Like you can't get away with messing around, being down 15. And think you're going to be able to beat one of the best teams in America second time. You know what I mean? Like you did it to Duke. You caught Duke falling asleep up 15 or whatever, 16, 14. I mean, huge play in the Duke game, huge. And they really talk about it. Like, kid maybe hits a 3, and then kid gets hit in the neck or something with an elbow. They give him a front end. He makes both. Then they come back and scores like a 6 or 7 point possession, which takes something that was unreachable and turned it into a 3-possession game. It was like 14, and then boom, it turned to 6 or 8 right away with the clock stopped. Maybe 10 seconds get off the clock. And you can't score, whatever it was, like 7 or 10 points in 15 seconds. You just, I just think you have to be able to rebound with these guys. They're great on the offensive glass. Florida, I think, can do that just from my limited watching them. But I'm gonna ride my hot streak. I'm going with Florida.
What's the score gonna be?
Oh, well, I mean, it's interesting because when Duke had the pace of that game in the second half, that game was going into the 70s and 80s. And then it slowed down and went right back to the 60s where Houston likes it. If that thing goes to the 70s and 80s, I don't think Houston can win. Pace is going to be the ticket. Houston makes you play at a certain pace. If Florida can overcome that, Florida's going to beat them pretty good. I don't think they're going to get blown out, but I just think Florida's going to stay in control of the game. I'm not going to watch it. I don't really care. I'll find out who wins when I wake up. What time's the game?
It's at 9 o'clock, so you could make the last 50 minutes.
I will,
right?
God willing, I'll be awake at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah. So what's the score gonna be?
I think Florida's going to win, so I'm going to go 74-66.
Coach, what do you think the over-under of this game is?
What should it be?
No, what is it?
I think it's 100. I think it's 138. What is it?
Pretty close. Pretty close. It's 141.
I was going to say 140.
That's pretty
I
good.
was going to say 140. I was going to say 140.
140 because you said 74-66.
Yeah, I was going to say 140, and then I went, no, it's probably just a tad under that, but that's good. And here's why. I mean, because they're saying it's a pace game.
Yeah.
I personally would take the under. What did I just say? 670
You just
what?
said 140. You said 140.
I said 140, right? I'd take the under 141. That's what I would do. So I would take the under, but I don't give betting advice. What's a line? Florida plus what?
Florida's a 1-point favorite, which I can't remember.
What do you expect?
Can't remember last time a national championship game was had a 1-point line.
because I can't
Maybe
remember
the
the
last time it was a battle of 1 seeds.
last time. When was the last time there were 4 1s in the Final Four?
2008.
Not too longer. Yeah.
Kansas, Memphis.
Kansas, Memphis, Mario Chalmers year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Calipari year, huh?
Yeah.
Is on the tape where he pulled the defeat from the jaws of victory
Mm-hmm.
and then replicated it this year plus 15. That was incredible. Couldn't
He
happen
was
to a
the last
nicer
double
guy.
digit seed.
You guys were still on Shabbos, and Shabbat was over, and I was watching Calipari was up like 13 or 14. And I went, boy, they got him right where they want him, and he had to coach the rest of the game, and that was it.
Speaking of the time difference, Coach, would be remiss if we didn't get your perspectives on spending Pesach in the land of Israel for the first time since you
Man.
moved.
Oh man.
What are the
I get a kick out of all the kids who like come here for the year and then go home. They go back to America for Passover. When in fact we left Egypt to come to Israel. You are in Israel and you leave. My kids came here to Israel. All 4 of them stayed here when they were here. Because the whole point was you were here. It's amazing to live with a Jewish calendar. Like everywhere you go, it's Passover. You go to the Machane Yehuda, the Shuk, and there's Passover stuff everywhere. You go to bakery, and the bakery is now dwindling down. And then there are some bakeries that are open over Passover, and they have a whole mess of stuff. You get schedules, for places that you go to or you work at, and they all Chag starts, the holiday starts at this time. We're going to close at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It's a Jewish calendar. You live here in a Jewish land, and one, I'm happy because my son Ellie and his family are coming, so that's great. I wish they were all here, but whatever. And but I get to spend it here in God's land, and it's nothing like it, fellas. My wife and I are lucky every day that we live here, and to get this, it's beyond my imagination that I would ever do it. So I'll let you know after it's over, but it's really cool. Like the counter is a Jewish counter. Like they ran a 42K the other night in Jerusalem the other day on Friday because Sunday's a work day.
Right.
They changed clocks 2 weeks ago on Thursday night because Friday is not a work day. It's just really cool here. It's just really, everybody's talking Hebrew. It's just really cool. There's you go to like the train station in Tel Aviv, and there's guys with this toss and filling on. You come back and there's a soldier doing the same thing. It's just, there's a minion on the train. It's like you're living a Jewish life, man. You're living a Jewish life. People you would never think. You look at them in America and you go, well, they're never going to pray, and they're on the bus praying. It's a Jewish life, and everybody here, Passover is a real thing here. And you don't have to, nobody looks at you strange when you're walking around the street with matzahs or with a lulav. Everybody has them. You're carrying your talis, and nobody looks at you strange. You're wearing it in the street, and nobody. It's funny because I was after prayers this morning after davening. I was not near the end of davening. I went out to check something, and there's a fella at the end of the row, and his rifle was on the ground, and no one even responds. It's just a rifle. You know what I mean? It's like it's a rifle. It's a live ammunition rifle. In America, it would be people would go nuts. In Israel, nobody looks twice. just how it is. So safest place in the world for the Jewish people. You know, I think you have to be here to realize it. Because everybody's worried, you know, they hear, you know what happens when the siren goes off? The siren goes off here, everybody goes to where they have to be, you know, to a safe room, and they can't wait to walk their dog. I mean, like, just tell me when I can leave. You know what I mean? Like they're just, it's different here, man. It's just different, and I love every minute of it. So I feel blessed and honored to be able to do that. With that, I wish you all a great Chag Sameach, a happy Passover, and everybody listening, except Danny and Giddy, have a great Passover, and it should be a safe, healthy, happy Passover, and we should finally unify as a people, and you know, put this thing to an end. Not only the war, but the stuff that goes on with the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Good.
Couldn't think of a better closing myself. That'll do it for season 3, episode 5 of the Harold Katz podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and wishing everybody a Chag Kasher Sameach, and we'll reconvene after.
Amen, amen, amen. All right, we'll see you guys next time.